On a December afternoon in Chicago during World War II, scientists broke open the nucleus at the heart of the uranium atom and reportedly converted nuclear mass into energy. They accomplished this by initiating a chain reaction for the first time inside a new engineering marvel, the nuclear reactor.
Since then, the capacity to extract large amount of energy from uranium nuclei has led some to portray nuclear power as a limitless utopian source of energy. A contemporary nuclear reactor can generate enough electricity from 1 kilogram of fuel to run a typical American family for approximately 34 years. However, rather than dominating the worldwide electricity market, nuclear power has fallen from an all-time high of 18% in 1996 to 11% now.
It is likely to fall much lower in the next decades. What happened to this technology's enormous promise? As it turns out, nuclear power confronts several challenges, such as high construction costs and public resistance. Behind these issues are a slew of one-of-a-kind engineering hurdles. Nuclear energy is based on the fission of uranium, nuclei, and a regulated chain reaction that replicates the splitting in a large number of nuclei.
The atomic nucleus is tightly packed with protons and neutrons that are held together by a strong nuclear force. Most uranium atoms contain 238 protons and neutrons in total, but 1 in every 140 loses 3 neutrons, and this lighter isotope is less securely bonded. In comparison to its more plentiful relative, a neutron attack quickly divides a U-235 nuclei into lighter radioactive elements known as fission products, as well as 2 to 3 neutrons, gamma rays, and few neutrinos.
Some nuclear mass is converted into energy during fission. A portion of the newly discovered energy propels the fast-moving neutrons, and if any of them collide with the uranium nuclei, fission occurs, resulting in a second bigger generation of neutrons. If more uranium nuclei are struck by the second generation of neutrons, further fission occurs, resulting in an even bigger third generation, and so on. This spiraling chain reaction is regulated within a nuclear reactor, however, by control rods comprised of materials that absorb excess neutrons and keep their number under check.
A regulated chain reaction allows a reactor to draw electricity gradually and consistently for years. The neutron-led chain reaction is a powerful mechanism that drives nuclear power. But there is a catch that might result in specific demands on its fuel supply. Most of the neutrons released by fission have too much kinetic energy to be caught by uranium nuclei. The chain reaction fizzles out because the fission rate is too low.
The first nuclear reactor, built in Chicago, utilized graphite as a moderator, scattering and slowing neutrons just enough to improve their capture by uranium and boost the rate of fission. Purified water is widely used as a moderator in modern reactors, although the dispersed neutrons are still a bit too fast. To compensate for this and keep the chain reaction going, the concentration of U-235 is increased to 4 to 7 times its natural abundance.
Today, enrichment is frequently accomplished by centrifuging a gaseous uranium complex to separate lighter U-235 from heavier U-238. However, the same procedure may be repeated to enrich U-235 up to 130 times its natural abundance, resulting in an explosive chain reaction in a bomb. Methods such as centrifuge processing must be strictly monitored in order to prevent the proliferation of bomb-grade fuel. Remember that only a portion of the fission energy generated is used to accelerate neutrons. The kinetic energy of the fission products accounts for the majority of nuclear power. These are collected as heat within the reactor by a coolant, typically purified water.
This heat is finally utilized by steam to power an electric turbine generator immediately outside the reactor. Water flow is essential not for just generating power, but also for preventing the most dreaded form of nuclear disasters, a meltdown. If the flow of water is interrupted due to a broken pipe or a failure of the pumps that pushes it, the uranium warms up fast and melts.
During a nuclear meltdown, radioactive vapors leak into the reactor, and if the reactor is unable to retain them, a steel and concrete containment structure is the final line of defense. However, if the radioactive gas pressure is too great, containment fails and the gases escape into the air, spreading as far and wide as the wind blows. The radioactive fission products in these vapors eventually decay into stable elements.
Some degrade in a matter of seconds, while others take hundreds of thousands of years. The most difficult issue for a nuclear reactor is properly containing these products and preventing them from causing harm to humans or the environment. Containment is still important once the fuel has been depleted. In reality, it creates an even worse storage issue. Some spent fuel is taken from reactors every 1 to 2 years and kept it in pools of water to cool the waste and inhibit radioactive emissions. The irradiated fuel is a mixture of uranium that did not fission, fission products, and plutonium, a radioactive substance that is not found in nature. This mixture must be kept apart from the rest of the environment until it has safely decomposed.
Many nations suggest deep time storage in tunnels bored deep down, but none have been completed and their long-term security is highly dubious. How can a nation that has barely been around for a few hundred years plan to keep plutonium safe during its radioactive half-life of 24,000 years? Many nuclear power facilities now sit on their waste, keeping it indefinitely on site.
Aside from radiation, wasted fuel poses an even larger risk. Plutonium has the ability to maintain a chain reaction and may be extracted from trash to manufacture bombs. Storing wasted gasoline poses not just an environmental concern, but also a national security risk. Who should be the watchman in charge of keeping an eye on it? Visionary scientists pioneered how to reliably harness the enormous amount of energy within an atom as an exploding weapon and as a regulated power source with enormous potential in the early years of the nuclear age. Their successors, on the other hand, have learned humbling lessons about the technology's less than ideal industrial constraints. Mining the subatomic world necessitates complicated, costly, and dangerous engineering.